And some of the stuff that you share with them is the patterns of success.
Mm.
So what are those patterns, and what do people usually forget about when it comes to success?
Great questions. First, when it comes to patterns, that's right. I mean, the first thing is we must be willing and able to face ourselves before we can face anything else. So I have to first look within and get super curious. So one of the first things I teach people is to stop judging themselves from a place of punishment or putting yourself down. And instead, just get curious by asking the question, what is it that, number one, that I really want? And then number two, what's really preventing me from getting it? And so from that basic place, you can begin to understand the patterns of what you do consistently. And I teach something called AQ, which is adaptability quotient. And it's really at its core, just the ability to recognize patterns, whether it is in the act of doing something or in a space of transition between doing one thing to another. You must be willing to take a look at yourself and understand what your response patterns are. And then I break that down into two basic categories, something I call correct response patterns and then incorrect response pattern. A correct response pattern is something that I do that gets me closer to what I really want. An incorrect response pattern is something that I do, probably repeatedly, that may be, again, a pattern that gets me further away from what I don't want. And I've got to have the insight and the willingness and really the guts in that moment to take a quick look at myself, to be honest. Because if I'm not being honest with myself about those patterns, then I'll never, ever, ever be willing to move forward. Mm-hmm. And by the way, martial arts is one of the things that has really helped me conceptualize this and understand it for myself. Because, for instance, if somebody wants to punch me in the face and I don't want them to punch me in this face, right? I've got to understand, is what I'm about to do going to be successful at what I want? Can I stop that person from punching me in the face? Now, in that moment, we have real truth, man. I mean, I'm talking, we have real truth because can I stop that person from punching me in the face? Because I'll know pretty quickly if I have a correct response to that. And, this is one of the things where martial arts can help people. Because if my answer to that isn't successful, I'm going to have immediate feedback, right? To know, do I need to change my tactics or not? The thing I help people do in that moment is stop lying to themselves. And if they get punched in the face, to just tell the truth. Hey, my answer wasn't good enough in that moment. So now I have to stop and take a look and decide, am I going to change? Am I just going to blame that other person to say, hey, wait a minute, you didn't punch me correctly? Hey, wait a minute, you're attacking me wrong, bad guy. Or am I really going to be willing to change what I'm doing? And then, of course, from that moment of discovery, I have to make a real decision about what I'm going to do there forward. Am I going to change my training? How am I going to change that? And then you have this whole system of conditioning that has to take over afterwards.